Hello everyone, this is Southern Belle Whisper. I hope you all are having a very happy and prosperous Sunday. You guys, before I start this video, I just want to tell you guys about this God wink that I had today. So last night I finished the book of Job in the Bible after reading it for almost 3 weeks, I'd say, and I was actually really down about it. I didn't want it to end. And not only did my niece Selena mention to me that Job was my brother's favorite book in the Bible, because he would always used to tell her, I'm Job, I feel like I'm Job. I feel like the way Job felt in the Bible. So going into it and studying it like I did, I imagined my brother reading it, and it became even more special to me. So last night I finished the book of Job, and this morning I went to church, and guess what the pastor was preaching on? Yes, the book of Job. I love when things like that happen, and I was so glad that I got to go to church today. I mentioned to my boss, I said, this isn't really necessary, not really, but if I could have every other Sunday off, that would be great, so I can go to church. And at the time she said, well, I don't know, Sunday's a really important day for us, but as of right now I have the next 2 Sundays off. So bless her for doing that for me. I really appreciate that. But we are going to be doing our Bible study for today, and I am going to be reading to you from one of my favorite chapters in the Bible today. So let's get started. Let's do some Bible page noises first. I'm using my LED light. I'm using like the golden light this time. I like it. I don't think it's as bright. Okay. So this is going to be Matthew chapter 14. At that time, Herod the Tetrarch, sorry if I mess up on words, heard the report about Jesus and said to his servants, this is John the Baptist. He is risen from the dead, and therefore these powers are at work in him. For Herod had laid hold of John and bound him and put him in prison for the sake of Herodias, his brother Philip's wife, because John had said to him, it is not lawful for you to have her. And although he wanted to put him to death, he feared the multitude, because they counted him as a prophet. But when Herod's birthday was celebrated, the daughter of Herodias danced before them and pleased Herod. Therefore he promised with an oath to give her whatever she might ask. So she, having been prompted by her mother, said, give me John the Baptist's head here on a platter. And the king was sorry. Nevertheless, because of the oaths and because of those who sat with him, he commanded it to be given to her. So he sent and had John beheaded in prison. And his head was brought on a platter and given to the girl, and she brought it to her mother. Then his disciples came and took away the body and buried it, and went and told Jesus. When Jesus heard it, he departed from there by boat to a deserted place by himself. But when the multitudes heard it, they followed him on foot from the cities. And when Jesus went out, he saw a great multitude, and he was moved with compassion for them and healed their sick. When it was evening, his disciples came to him, saying, "This is a deserted place, and the hour is already late. Send the multitudes away, that they may go into the villages and buy themselves food." But Jesus said to them, "They do not need to go away. You give them something to eat." And they said to him, "We have here only 5 loaves and 2 fish." He said, "Bring them here to me." Then he commanded the multitudes to sit down on the grass, and he took the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, and looking up to heaven, he blessed and broke and gave the loaves to the disciples, and the disciples gave to the multitudes. So they all ate and were filled, and they took up 12 baskets full of the fragments that remained. Now those who had eaten were about 5,000 men, besides women and children. Immediately Jesus made his disciples get into the boat and go before him to the other side, while he sent the multitudes away. And when he had sent the multitudes away, he went up on the mountain by himself to pray. Now when evening came, he was alone there. But the boat was now in the middle of the sea, tossed by the waves, for the wind was contrary. Now in the 4th watch of the night, Jesus went to them walking on the sea. And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, "It is a ghost," and they cried out for fear. But immediately Jesus spoke to them, saying, "Be of good cheer, it is I, do not be afraid." And Peter answered him and said, "Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water." So he said, "Come." And when Peter had come down out of the boat, he walked on the water to go to Jesus. But when he saw that the wind was boisterous, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, he cried out, saying, "Lord, save me." And immediately Jesus stretched out his hand and caught him, and said to him, "O ye of little faith, why did you doubt?" And when they got into the boat, the wind ceased. Then those who were in the boat came and worshipped him, saying, "Truly you are the Son of God." When they had crossed over, they came to the land of Gennesaret. And when the men of that place recognized him, they sent out into all that surrounding region, brought to him all who were sick, and begged him that they might only touch the hem of his garment, and as many as touched it were made perfectly well. The reason Matthew chapter 14 is one of my favorite books in the Bible is because the part where Peter comes out of the boat and he's walking on the water, he's walking towards Jesus, but he sees the storm around him and he starts to sink. Today was the first day that I wrote in my journal, and I told in my prayer journal, and I told God, I said, "God, I think the reason that I called out to you that night on the beach was because I was fearful that I was dying. And like the thief on the cross, I was fearful of where I would end up going if I was to die. So when I was going in and out of consciousness, I called out to Jesus and just said, "Save me." But instead of passing away, he ended up saving my life. And I owe everything to him. But I know as Christians how easy it is to get distracted by the storms in your life, whether you lose someone that you love, or you lose your job, or lose your job, lose someone that you love. Life isn't going your way. And I know how tempting it is to be distracted by the storms in your life. But I also know, even with losing Journey and losing people from my past, I never once gave up my studying. I never once gave up writing my prayers in my prayer journal, even though I do look back sometimes and I'm like, oh gosh, this is cringe-worthy. But at the time, that's just the way I was feeling. But I never once took my eyes off of God. Not once. Even if my faith was no bigger than a mustard seed, I never once took my eyes off of God. Because I knew no matter what, He was going to come through. That His love for me and His protection of me, that He was going to come through for me. And that's what faith is. It's really hard sometimes, you guys, to be a Christian and to believe in something that you can't physically see. Not really. But like I told you at the beginning of this video of that God wink that I got this morning going to church, God shows you that He's there. And it may take a lot to see it, but once you do, you never lose faith again. Ever. So, that was Matthew chapter 14, one of my favorite chapters. And then I'm also going to read from you my Jesus Calling book and what it said for today. I've already read this. I read this morning. Okay. It says, "Let my love seep into the inner recesses of your being. Do not close off any part of yourself from me. I know you inside and out, so do not try to present a cleaned up self to me. Wounds that you shut away from the light of my love will fester and become wormy. Secret sins that you hide from me can split off and develop lives of their own, controlling you without your realizing it. Open yourself fully to my transforming presence. Let my brilliant love light search out and destroy hidden fears. This process requires time alone with me as my love soaks into your innermost being. Enjoy my perfect love, which expels every trace of fear." Just making sure I'm not respiring. "O Lord, you have searched me and you know me. You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways. Before a word is on my tongue, you know it completely. O Lord, search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there is any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting." Psalm 139. "There is no fear in love. Dread does not exist. But full-grown, complete, or perfect love turns fear out of doors and expels every trace of terror. For fear brings with it the thought of punishment, and so he who is afraid has not reached the full maturity of love, is not yet grown into love's complete perfection." 1 John 4:18. But, like I said, you guys, I have been through many storms in my life. I've been through sickness. I've been through addictions. I've been through losing a part of myself when my brother passed away. That was a time in my life that I never thought I'd get through. But I know that when I'm getting a God wink from God, that I'm also getting a God wink from my brother. I know that God told my brother that night when I was in trouble, that my brother may have given him a good word about me. He might have said, she's a really good person. She needs to be saved. Save my sister. Because no matter what, I've always known that my brother loves me, so. But we are going to end this video with my prayer. And so let's bow our heads and close our eyes. Dear God, thank you so much for the blessed sermon that our pastor bestowed upon us this morning. Christians out there, we are all like Job. We all have storms in our life, but if we have faith, no matter if it's as big as a mustard seed or bigger than the whole wide world, then we know we will make it through. Whatever we're going through, whatever storm we're going through, we will make it as long as we believe in you and your perfect love that you have for us. I pray that you watch over anybody that is sick, anybody who feels unloved, or anybody that feels like that they only have a little bit of strength left. May you put your hands on them and over their eyes and make them see that as long as they have you, they will make it. Thank you for all the blessings that you bestowed upon my life and the people that I love. And I am humbled, I am grateful, and I love you. In Jesus' name, amen. Alright, you guys. I love you guys. I will be talking to you soon.